everyone. Stephanie Boulay here, registered dietitian for Coastline. Thank you so much for tuning into our channel today. And we are going to be doing a special dessert. And I don't know about you, but I love me some pumpkin pie. I don't care what time of the year it is. I love making it and I love eating it even better. And today we're going to be doing mini pumpkin pies, so that's great for portion control. And it's so easy, minimal ingredients. And if you have anybody who has food allergies in the family, then this is a good choice for you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using almond flour as our base. So I have 3 cups of almond flour here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some maple syrup. So this is going to be our pie crust. Okay, I'm just going to use my fork here. We're going to add a little bit of water. So this recipe is great if you know of anybody who has a gluten allergy or gluten intolerance. So there's so many different kinds of flours out there that you can play around with. But I love almond flour because it's high in those heart-healthy fats. It has protein in there. It's really high in vitamin E, which is great for brain health. So if you're looking to do a different alternative as opposed to, say, just like a regular flour, pastry flour for pumpkin pie, this is a really cool one. Okay, so this is looking good. So what you're looking for when you're making this crust is you're looking for it to be nice and a crumbly texture like that. And then when you pinch it together, it should stick like that. Yep, just like that. So this is looking good over here. All right, and I'm gonna set my oven to 375. Okay, all right, so 375 degrees. So now we're gonna start working on the pumpkin pie filling. So I have sweet potato here, 1 cup of a mashed sweet potato. So there's a nice little twist there for you. This dessert is loaded in vitamin A, people. Here we go. And we've got 2 cups of canned pumpkin. Love canned pumpkin. It's just so convenient, so easy to use. All right. And I've got some maple syrup again. This is a dessert after all, right? But you can tailor however much you like to your recipe. If you want it a little bit sweeter, if you don't want it as sweet, that's perfectly fine. And then of course our pumpkin pie spice. Okay. All right. So now we're going to mix all these ingredients together. If you have an immersion blender, that's great. If you've got, a hand mixer, that's fine. You just want everything to be blended all nice together. This dessert does not take long at all to make. I know we all have parties going on, family parties, holiday parties, and it's nice to have a recipe that's only a couple of ingredients. If you have any family members with dairy allergies, this is a great one for that as well, because there's no dairy in this. Okay. Okay. Here we go. All right, so now, I have my oven preheating, and you got to spray our muffin tins. Make sure you spray really good because you don't want it sticking. Get a little extra for good measure here. Okay. Now, so another trick with this is that we take strips of parchment paper and we're just gonna stick it right at the bottom because when I start adding the crust in there, I want it to just lift nice and easy. I don't want to have to try and fight to get it out. So you just put this in here just like this. Brilliant idea. But if you don't want to do it this way and you want to do the cupcake tins, you absolutely can do that as well. Okay. And so once these are cooking in the oven, it takes about 30 minutes. 30 minutes in the oven. So then it gives you plenty of time that you can work on other things for your party. Okay. So it all depends on how generous you are with your fillings. This can make anywhere between like 9 and 12 of these guys. But if you don't have that many people, you could easily just cut this recipe in half or double it, triple it. It's very easy to do. All right, so now the fun part. Here we go. We're gonna start working on our pie crust. Okay, so just take a spoonful of your mixture and start adding it in. You can be a little generous with it. Okay. I love almonds. I really, really do. And like I was mentioning earlier, they're so high in vitamin E, which is really good for the brain. We should be trying to incorporate almonds into our everyday diet or any kind of nuts, unless of course you have a nut allergy. So this recipe is not a nut-free dessert. So if you have anybody who has any tree nuts, a tree nut allergy, this recipe is not for you. Do not try this at home. But you could easily substitute it for any kind of flour in that case if there was an allergy. Okay, here we go. And so there's a little trick that you can do. So if you notice that when you start filling in your pie crusts, you can just keep a little dish of water handy nearby. And that will help it from sticking to your fingers if you find that it's just sticking a little bit too much. All right, almost done here. Okay, and I'm just going to give myself a little bit extra in case I need it. So now what we do is you just start to press it nice and even all the way around. Now when I first did this recipe, my husband told me, well, I wanted to make sure that the crust was nice and thick, and he was like, oh, it's a little too thick stuff. So nice thin layer all the way around. Okay. And this would be great to get the kids involved as well. It's so simple, so very easy. And the kids just love to help in the kitchen. They love getting their hands dirty. Let the kids get their hands dirty. Okay. Here we go. So I'm finishing up my last one here. Now it's time to add the filling. Here we go. All right, and you can make this ahead of time. So say if you were making this for a holiday party, Thanksgiving, or something of that nature, you could always just make your filling ahead of time and put it in the freezer. And that would eliminate a lot more of your things on your to-do list to cook for the party. Because we all know that the holidays can get crazy. Parties can get like out of control. So anything that we can do to make it easier on that day, I am all for that. Okay. Another reason why I really like this dessert, besides the portion control, right, is that it's so high in fiber, these little things, because you're getting the fiber from the pumpkin, from the sweet potatoes, from the almond flour. So in fiber, especially when you're going to a party, right, or holiday gathering, the fiber is what's going to keep you fuller for longer. It takes a lot more time to digest and all of this, and it just fills you up. So it's best to try to fill yourself up with stuff that's high in fiber, so that way you're not going back to the buffet table over and over again. All right, so we are almost done here. And like I said, so these babies, they're gonna cook in the oven for about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes. And then you wanna cool them overnight if you can. Cool them overnight. Okay. And then here is our last one. There you go. Just a little bit more. I like to be generous. There we go. Okay, so these are gonna go in the oven. Go for 30 minutes. But I actually made some ahead of time. So they've been cooling overnight. And my husband already ate one. If you can't see, he's like, what is that smell? It smells so good. Pumpkin pie is one of his favorites. And look at that, they just come right out. Love that. So we're just gonna set that right here. Here we go. So this recipe, it's also good for, people who don't eat any animal products. This is also a good alternative because, everybody has like different diets nowadays, so I find it can be so fun when you're in the kitchen. What can I make that would be pleasing for everybody? And then, of course, well, I love whipped cream on my pies. If you have time to make fresh whipped cream, that's the best. But this also works really good too. Here we go. Look at that. Perfectly portioned, high in fiber, delicious treat for everybody. Can't go wrong. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Cooking with Coastline. Stay tuned for more episodes.